The following episode of Dave's Video Graveyard contains spoilers and naughty words. Listener discretion is advised.
Have you ever bought or rented a videotape that wasn't quite right? It may have been a pirate copy.
Ratings advice. Use it. It's on every...
We're going streaking!
Dave's Video Graveyard.
That guy in a little coat.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
I'm not a smart man.
Shut up! One tubby.
What's wrong with him?
My first thought would be alive.
Why so serious?
Wise man say forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza.
Hail to the king, baby.
Hey, Mom! The meatloaf! We want it now! The meatloaf!
Of all the radio shows in the world, this is definitely one of them. Dave's Video Graveyard on 100.5 WOWFM.
Okay, you people sit tight, hold the fort, and keep the home fires burning. And if we're not back by dawn, call the press.
It is 100.5 WOWFM, Dave's Video Graveyard. A massive pleasure to be with you, whatever it is you may be doing on your Monday evening. You've got no Lego Masters, so you have to listen to me this week. It is a pleasure to be with you. Not much happening in movie news. When it comes to new stuff, I think the only movies I watched last week were the new Zack Snyder film, Army of the Dead, which was so dumb and a lot of fun, and I highly recommend it for anyone that is a fan of zombie and just exciting, dumb action movies. The other movie I revisited this week was an Aussie classic. I'd kind of forgotten about it, but Mick Malloy in Crackerjack, and that was a whole heap of fun. So they're the two movies I'm starting off this evening with a couple of recommendations. You should definitely check both of those out if you haven't, and even if you have, do it again, because what is better than rewatching movies? Speaking of movies, it is a guest choice special this evening, and I'm joined by a very special guest. It's kind of like the scene in The Warriors where the rival gangs all get together on one night. They put all their problems aside. No one's getting shot tonight, though, being the major difference. We are joined by Ace. We met when he was hosting Up Down Under on Radio Adelaide, the enemy station.
That's
Ace,
it.
how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you, Dave?
Very well. Thank you so much for joining us on the other side of the pond.
That's cool, mate. Glad to be here, man. It's really good.
Awesome. So you are a DJ in many definitions of the term.
Yes, I dabble in a lot of different stuff like DJing, production. Nothing that I do for anybody. I kind of do it for myself, really. Like a lot of it's like just kind of my hobby, really. And then the other half of it is like to do with radio. So I put all my radio shows together and do intros, and
How'd you get into all that?
Music for me really streams back to like growing up. My dad was very influential on like me, so like I've always had a passion for music. And it was probably in high school, me and my brother like saved up for turntables. So we were still, I think it was in year 9 or year 10. And my brother was in year 8, I think it was. He was the only one that was working at the time, so it's pretty funny. Like he was paying the majority of the money to fund getting the turntables, and I paid what I could. And then we got turntables and started collecting records, and I kind of picked up the whole DJ thing pretty quickly and took over the thing, and wouldn't let my brother sort of really learn how to do it. And it's kind of still the case. Like he's waiting to learn how to do this. And then just from there, it just involved teaching myself how to use like various programs to like make.
So you essentially let him pay for the car and then wouldn't let him drive.
Yes, that's it.
So when it comes to record collecting, I know it's like choosing your favorite kid, but I do have a favorite kid, so I'm going to ask you, in your collection of records, how many do you have, and what is the one Grail piece that you own?
I haven't counted them, but it'd have to be at least getting towards 1,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And I do constantly go through them and like get rid of stuff. Like I try and cull stuff and get rid of stuff that I'm not listening to anymore. I probably have to say like my Prodigy like collection is probably my most prized, especially like my signed stuff.
Yeah. How much of your stuff is signed?
I've got 2 things that are signed. Yeah. I did get like I've never got anything signed really by them because like I'd rather get a photo and just have a chat with them. And yeah, I decided to get something signed, which was the last show that they ever did really before Keith Flint passed away. So yeah, it's pretty sad and crazy that you know he's gone now, and you know that this band I've been into for 20 years. And yeah, it's a big part of my life.
It's surreal, isn't it? There's kind of an emptiness, but you know, you get everything they left you with, like all the music and that, and the inspiration. But there's still an emptiness when you think about it.
That's it. Yeah.
Now, this evening we're celebrating your 10 favorite movies of all time.
Yep.
How hard was it to make this list?
Extremely hard. Like when you said 10 movies, I thought, you know what, I can easily put 10 movies together, and then like. I kind of don't watch movies as much as like I used to, and I went to where I keep my movies, and I was going through them, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to have this, I'm going to definitely have that, and then I started pulling out more and more, and as soon as I was like pulling out more and more, I'm like, now I've got to cross this one out, I've got to put this one in, and there's so many movies that like didn't make the list tonight, like Forrest Gump, like that's one movie that I always watch, like if it's on TV, I religiously watch it. Another one, Billy Madison, like Adam Sandler stuff is like, I love his movies, like they're all classics, and I wanted to put in Happy Gilmore, but that didn't make the list either. James Bond, I love James Bond, so like
you without giving anything away, you've got a James Bond on your list this evening.
Yes,
and it's my James Bond from my childhood as well, so that's pretty cool.
What else didn't make the list? I took Kill Bill off, Volume 1 and 2, but there's still a Tarantino movie on the list, I believe. But yeah, it was extremely hard to pick 10. It's like when somebody says, what are your 10 favorite like songs of all time? Like, I can't narrow it down.
It depends on the weather, and it depends on what day of the week you're asked.
That's it. Like a lot of my like viewing for watching movies and TV series and music is all to do with like mood and the time of year. Like I believe that there is certain like times of the year that you watch certain things.
Yep.
But I'd say Home Alone is the exception, that you can watch that any time of year.
100%.
And I don't agree with it being a Christmas movie. I don't consider it a Christmas movie.
Well, there's a few movies on my list. Home Alone would be one. Die Hard would be another. And Major Pain would be another, where it doesn't matter when or where.
Yes.
If it's on television, I'm not doing anything. I'm watching it till it finishes.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's 2 minutes in or 2 hours in. I'm watching it till it finishes.
Yeah.
Just got so much inbuilt love for those kind of films.
That's it. Speaking of Major Pain, that was one movie that was on the other day, and I was like, oh damn it! I used to watch that all the time. That could have made the list too.
Rightfully. That's in my top 10 for sure, and it always will be. Anyway, anyone listening can join in the conversation. Simply look up Dave's Video Graveyard on Instagram, Facebook, and all your social medias, and you can let us know how we're going. Make sure you let Ace know where he's wrong, where he's right, and everything in between. Before we move on, your show on Radio Adelaide.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
So the show that I do on Radio Adelaide is called Up, Down, Under. It's an Australian music show. So the way I put my shows together, it's my personal love of music. So I really love punk music. Also like ska, reggae, hip-hop. Well, I pretty much love most genres of music. So I put my shows together and I try and educate people on like the Australian music scene. So it's not just all about ACDC and Cold Chisel. Like there's so much more to Australian music, and I feel it's important that people know how amazing that Australian music really is. That there's so many bands that have actually had such a huge impact on people around the world. So that's basically my mission, is to like dust off all the hidden gems and play stuff that doesn't get played on air. And I think it's good. Independent radio gives you the opportunity to basically play stuff that people want to hear and not be forced to like listen to a certain playlist that a commercial station would normally play.
Here's the latest Pink song, followed by the latest Pink song.
That's it, yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's jump into a little bit of music now. This is a 100.5 WOW FM.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
All the movies, none of the knowledge. This is DVG on WOWFM.
It is time for the High Fidelity quiz, as stolen from Shannon on High Fidelity. Okay, so Ace, what was your local video store growing up?
My local video store, it kind of changed. The majority of my time, I went to Parry Hill's Video Easy. That was my local. But I watched a lot of movies over at my dad's place, so I'd have to say in Collingwood, the Video Easy there. But it was named. I'm trying to think what it was named now. I can't remember the name of it, but we used to go there all the time. They had like a video club, and on your birthday, you'd get to rent 3 new release movies, I think it was, or it was weeklies. But yeah, that was the one that I went to the majority of the time when I was at my dad's place. But at Parry Hill's Video Easy was the one.
Nice. All right, pretend you're 10 years old. What's your favourite TV show?
Yes, I think it was E Street.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
There was a particular character. I think his name was Steve Richardson, and he was like a bit of a villain. He used to paint his face silver. It was pretty creepy, and it scared like the hell out of me. Sometimes I didn't even want to watch the show, but I was just so glued to it. Like, I don't know what it was, but I was just like addicted to that thing. And it's like an adult show, but like I'm sitting there like watching it. Yeah.
I remember being a kid and my mum was obsessed with this TV show on ABC called Birds of a Feather.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I know that one.
I don't know why, but I waited all week to watch it.
Yeah, I used to watch it.
It was probably like watching it with mum, but like looking back now, I'm like, that is not a kid's show whatsoever. But
used to be that one, and then that was followed by The Bill.
Yes.
And I got hooked on The Bill.
I still to this day remember being a kid and nothing was more transfixing than watching the 2 feet at the end of the bill walk along like the 2 policemen's feet to that iconic track, which is like, I'm waiting for a DJ to remix that. There's my challenge to you. Work the bill theme into your set. That's it.
And I'm such a sad case as well that I writ to like some of the people and I got like autograph photos.
That's passion. And, that's not sad.
Do you remember Tony Stamp?
Yes.
Yes. He actually wrote me a letter.
Wow.
That was pretty cool.
Do you still have it?
Yes. Yeah.
That is so awesome. All right, 10-year-old you, what is your favourite ice cream?
I'm going to be boring and say vanilla.
Wow. Yeah. Very exciting.
Yeah. Like I was not an adventurous kid like growing up. Like we would have Neapolitan ice cream and I'd eat the vanilla first. And then if I was desperate, I'd eat the chocolate. And then if it was down to the Neapolitan, like the pinks, like ice cream, that was like the last resort.
Neapolitan though, and I've noticed this growing up because I'm what's known in the industry as a fat guy.
Yeah.
And growing up eating Neapolitan, I realized that the chocolate doesn't taste like chocolate ice cream.
Yes.
The strawberry doesn't taste like strawberry ice cream. The vanilla is the only true flavor when it comes to Neapolitan. It's a waste of real estate.
It is. It's a waste of ice cream altogether. I would be like to my mum, why the hell are you buying this ice cream? Why don't you just buy a tub of vanilla? Everyone is obviously eating the vanilla ice cream, so like no one likes the other ice cream.
The real hero of our generation was Ice Magic anyway.
Yes.
Vanilla with Ice Magic was for me. All right. What was your favorite junk food when you were growing up?
Oh, that's a good question. Chico's.
Wow, that's a good call. And your favorite book?
I didn't read when I was young.
Yep.
Like I only started taking up reading like probably in my late 20s. I probably read one book like growing up, like as a young kid, and I was proud that I finished it. Actually,
What was it?
I can't even remember. So it must have been the worst book ever. But like I read it like because I'm like, well, everyone else around me is reading, so I better read a book.
I was obsessed with Goosebumps, Animorphs, and particularly the Paul Jennings books, which were all the basis of Round the Twist episodes. So I was like obsessed with those. But I've read 6 books since high school. So
wow, yeah.
All right, and what was your favourite toy?
Oh, my favourite toys. There were so many to choose from.
Just tell us as many as you want.
I'm trying to think of the name now. There was Dino Riders. I love Dino Riders.
Yep.
Transformers.
Yep.
Ninja Turtles. That's probably my ultimate favorite.
Classics,
when those movies came out, and the TV series, like, and they'd release like new Ninja Turtles, like it seemed like every week anyway. Our mum would go to Kmart and like buy us a Ninja Turtle, or 2. So yeah, that's probably the best memory.
That was $6 each back in the day. Like, all right. Who goes on your Mount Rushmore of actors or actresses?
Okay, so it definitely has to have Bill Murray.
Nice.
Adam Sandler.
Yep.
I'd have to say Roger Moore. He's probably out of place because he's not really...
That's fine.
Comical.
Spice World's Roger Moore.
Yeah. And then it probably would definitely have to be Al Pacino.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a real well-rounded mountain.
Yeah.
Would you prefer to watch a movie at the cinema or at home?
I would probably say, depending on the movie, like, I do like going to the cinemas. So I kind of have a really soft spot for the Willis cinemas at North Adelaide.
Yep.
That's probably my favourite cinema to go to, and I really enjoy watching movies there. Yeah, so I'd probably say the movies.
Awesome. What was your food of choice at the cinemas?
Maltesers.
Good answer. Popcorn always wins this one, but I feel you got to go deeper than that.
I don't know, man. It all depends though, because a lot of places don't really do great popcorn, so you have to bring your own.
Yeah, definitely. Which fictional character do you relate to the most?
I'd probably say like any of Adam Sandler's.
Yep.
Yeah, because I'm just a big kid at heart, and I love to laugh and to muck around. It's
so
pretty
I'll write down Jill from Jack and Jill
as
the character you relate to the most. Which film didn't get a sequel and deserves one?
Ooh, I'm not really a fan of sequels, like unless it's really done. Like, there's only a handful of movies I feel that actually, when they have sequels, it's deserving of it. Like I think like Home Alone is one. James Bond, like they can't go wrong with that. Yeah, I don't know. I really cannot think of anything that would be worthy.
That's totally fine. And who would play you in your biopic?
He's not really an actor, but I would say Henry Rollins.
Okay.
Because like we're just both crazy about music, and I think he'd get me. He'd be able to play me to a T.
Nice. And what's the main song in your biopic?
It'd have to be Motorhead, Ace of Spades.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which movie freaked you out as a kid?
Anything with a clown in it, especially like Stephen King's. What's that movie? It. I hate clowns. I hate them with a passion, and I still hate them now. Like they're just freaky. Like I don't understand people's sort of I don't know, fixation on clowns. Like how they would enjoy. Like they're just creepy. Like.
Which TV show or movie from your childhood would you like to see brought back or rebooted?
So that's like the sequel, like thing. Like I don't know. Like I think like when things get rebooted, it's kind of a bit cheesy. But I'd probably say like in the future, if you were to like bring back a movie to reboot it, I'd say Kill Bill.
Yep,
1 and 2.
Good answer. If you could drive one vehicle from any movie, what would it be?
It'd have to be Herbie the Love Bug. Because I love Volkswagens, mate.
That's
like,
a great one. If you could add your favourite fictional character to any other film, who would you choose and what would it be?
So, what movie would I put them in?
Yeah.
Okay. I would take SpongeBob and I would put him in... I put him in Terminator.
Nice. I love it. I'm on board.
I could just imagine him going, just...
It would not be worse than half the Terminator movies, that's for sure. All right, and here's the quiz you don't know anything about, okay?
Yep.
Harry Potter or Star Wars?
Harry Potter.
Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones?
Breaking Bad all the way, man.
Selma Hayek or Selma Hayek?
Ooh, the second one.
Nice. Right. Lord of the Rings or Back to the Future?
Back to the Future for sure, man. Brad
Pitt or Leonardo DiCaprio?
No, that's a tough one because I never used to like Leonardo DiCaprio, but a lot of the movies I've seen with him, like I don't know, I would say it's a draw. I can't. It depends what movie they're in.
Yep. Shawshank Redemption or Stand By Me?
Shawshank Redemption, yeah.
Edward Scissorhands or The Nightmare Before Christmas?
Edward Scissorhands, yeah.
This one is going to give a little bit away. Johnny Depp or Gene Wilder?
Gene Wilder.
Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone?
Arnold Schwarzenegger. I can't stand Sylvester Stallone.
Nice.
Yeah.
The Witches or Matilda?
I'm going to say The Witches because Matilda, the movie, like that was just a movie that was played so many times. My sister would play that to death, man.
The Lost Boys or Interview the Vampire?
The Lost Boys.
Good answer. Spider-Man or Batman?
No, that's a tough one, mate. You know how much I love Batman. And I love Spider-Man as well, so I'd go Batman, man.
All right. Deadpool or Harlequin?
I haven't really seen any of them, to be honest, but I don't know. I'd say Harlequin.
Cool. Aggro or Cheese TV?
Aggro.
Good answer. Pizzas or burgers?
Pizza, man.
Good answer. Ninja Turtles or Ghostbusters?
Man, you put me on the spot, man. How can I choose
about.
between those two?
That's what it's about.
Look, I'm going to have to pledge my allegiance to Ninja Turtles.
Nice. Friends or Seinfeld?
Seinfeld.
Good answer. And your final question.
Yep.
If you could force the entire world
to
watch one movie, are you going to make them watch something bad or something good? What movie would you make the entire world watch?
I would have to say I'd pick Forrest Gump. I think it's got a bit of everything. It's got a bit of a love story. It's got comedy in it. I think it's a good all-round movie.
The world would probably be a better place.
Yes.
If everyone had seen that. Well, that is the two quizzes. We're going to get into the movies. Before we get there, let's hear a little bit of music. Don't forget to join the conversation on our social media. Dave's Video Graveyard. This is 100.5 WOWFM.
What is this? A center for ants?
What? How can we be expected to teach children to learn how to read if they can't even fit inside the building? The center has to be at least 3 times bigger than this.
Talking movies on the radio. This is Dave's Video Graveyard on 100.5 WOWFM.
You are listening to Dave's Video Graveyard on WOWFM. Ace is joining us, taking us through his favourite films of all time. And we're starting off with an absolute classic doozy from 1989, starring the unreplaceable John Candy. We are talking about Uncle Buck. It is written by John Hughes, who's responsible for like pretty much every good coming-of-age film of the 80s. Went into the 90s with this movie, a whole heap of other stuff. Almost a perfect film. We were talking about it a little bit earlier, where it's the kind of movie where even though it feels kind of Christmassy, it's just all year long, much like Home Alone. Like it's just holidays.
Yes.
All of these movies. This was made for $15 million back in 1989. So we're talking the same year that Batman came out, like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. So some big epic movies. And this held its own because it made $80 million off of a $15 million budget. And like we said, it's so quotable, so delightful. Why did you choose this movie?
I chose this movie because it's pretty close to my heart. Like, it's the movie that we all sat down and watched. It's like my mum, my sister, and my brother. Like, and whenever it was on, like we'd always watch it. So, you know, it really makes me laugh. I can relate to it heaps. Like, I can relate to having a weird guy coming into the house and trying to look after you, and like being kind of like very wary of the person. And yeah, it's just a lot of it's very relatable for me.
And it also it spawned. It gave the world Macaulay Culkin because he'd had a few roles, but he was so strong in this movie.
Yep.
That John Hughes specifically created Home Alone with him in mind.
Yep.
Like, you know, it is so quotable. I consider myself an Uncle Buck type when it comes to my kids. Like, I just love his heart's in the right spot. He doesn't always do things the right way, but it's just the coolest thing. It's a cool person to have in your life kind of thing. Like, he does things like he makes giant pancakes with a snow shovel, punches out the drunk clown at the birthday party. Like, it's just, he's a lovable lout. And, you know, the world was really robbed when we lost John Candy because I feel like, much like John Goodman, he'd become that serious character actor as he got a bit older because he was starting to do a fair few serious things, the likes of like Canadian Bacon and a few other things. Even though that was a comedy, it was a little bit more well-rounded and stuff. But yeah, do you like a lot of John Candy's movies?
I do. Yep.
Awesome.
Like
awesome.
I couldn't believe when like he passed. Like I was kind of like, what? It is very sad. Like there's so many different like. Robin Williams, he's another guy that I grew up with, and you know the fact that he's gone now is.
I think the big four for me as a kid, well, big five even. Steve Martin, Bill Murray, John Candy, and to a lesser extent, having a total Rick Moranis from Little Shop of Horrors and Ghostbusters and stuff, and then basically extended out, and there was like Dan Aykroyd and all those other guys that were just so funny. And then even we obviously got to live through the new generation of comedians from Saturday Night Live.
Yep.
So we got like your David Spade, Chris Farley, who massive, hero of mine, and Adam Sandler, like you mentioned, Rob Schneider, all these guys, all New York, you know, around New York City with SNL. So yeah, man, this movie is fantastic. I'm just reading, there was a TV series in 1990, which I never bothered to check out. I can only imagine how bad it was. And apparently it was remade as a TV series in 2016.
Wow.
So
that just blows my mind that somebody's made a TV series. The fact that it must have been that awful that it's never been discovered until now.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, anything else you want to say about Uncle Buck before we move on?
I would say if you haven't watched it before, go watch it because there's so many things in there that you can relate to. Like you can relate to your parents dropping you off at school in an embarrassing car, and you know it's blowing smoke, and you know you just want to get away from that thing as quick as possible. You can relate to having the weird uncle that has the task of looking after you for the week, and you're gonna do everything in your power to like make his life hell. And all the guy wants to do is just, you know, look after you and do his best. But, you know, he's got this pesky little kid or girl, like, trying to, you know, make his life hell.
I can't wait until my daughter's older to be much like Buck when she gets a boyfriend or girlfriend and just be the Uncle Buck type with the drill. And do you know what a ritual killing is and stuff like that? It's so good. Well, we're going to jump back into some music. Don't forget, you can join in the conversation. Make sure you also check out Radio Adelaide, of course, because that is where you can hear Ace. You also got some DJing stuff coming up.
I'll be doing a DJ set in June at the Brew Boys. It's going to be an afternoon set, so 2:45. If you want to catch me, I'm going under the moniker Wolf. So, yeah, it'll be pretty chilled out. Some good tunes I'm going to be playing. So, yeah, if you're... not doing anything on June the 12th, check it out.
Awesome. This is 100.5 WOWFM.
Nowhere to run to, baby. Warriors, come out to play. Warriors, come out to play.
This is DVG on WOWFM.
I know you're no good for me.
Every last day of term, every school trip with a bus that had a VCR on it, we are talking about one of the most watched movies by all school children of the 1990s. We're talking about Home Alone from 1990. An 8-year-old troublemaker must protect his house from a pair of burglars when he's accidentally left home by his family during Christmas vacation. We talked about this at the start of the show.
Yeah.
It may be set at Christmas, but it's not necessarily a Christmas treat. You can watch this any time of the year. It ages fantastically. It's still hilarious. There are so many things I love about this movie, particularly like there's still things blowing my mind about this movie. Like only last week, I found a meme that explained that I never noticed, but when Kevin spills all the milk over all the pizza and stuff and has to sleep with his cousin, his tickets are actually on the table, and it shows the dad fold up all the red paper and throw it in the bin, and so he throws out Kevin's ticket. So that's why when they count, there's no missing things, and that just that level of detail blows my mind. Why did you pick this film?
Oh, dude, this movie is like a part of like me and my brother's life and my sister's like and friends as well. Like I would go to work and me and my mates would be quoting lines, we'd be sending each other texts, we'd be calling up and like doing quotes from Home Alone. Always watch it every time it's on, pull it out just before Christmas. It's just such a great movie. Like it's got the perfect lines in it. It's like every kid's dream that they have been left alone and they've got to defend their home and take on the bad guys. And he just does things that you only dream about doing to people, and it's perfect. Like I cannot fault anything about the movie at all.
I love how often this movie comes up in just references in everything, every walk of life. And like I remember a couple of years ago when Jordan Peele's horror movie Us came out.
Yep.
And there's a scene where they look outside and there's the home intruders out there. And the dad's like, well, maybe we should, protect the house like Home Alone. And the mum's like, I don't think sprinkling micro machines is going to help us. This movie, it's super violent for a kid's movie, but it's the 1990s. That's what kids' movie were. There was a little bit of edge, a little bit of danger. I'll never forget. It's either the first... Yeah, it's in this one. It says, I'm up here, you big horse's ass.
Yeah.
And we saw that on a school trip.
Yeah.
And oh boy, were we excited. There was a swear in this movie.
That's it. Do you think that a movie like that these days would like be able to pass as like something being released? Because I feel that there's a lot of stuff in it now, and there's a lot of touchy, subjects with people these days that, a movie like this would exist like in today's...
Well, I'm always one that I'm like, I don't want to let people that have sensibilities about this win. But I've got to say, it's not Home Alone, but I recently started rewatching a show that I loved as a little kid.
Yep.
And it was Monkey Magic. It used to be on
I love
5
that,
o'clock on ABC every afternoon. And rewatching it, it is so violent. Yep. And I'm just like, wow, kids are kind of robbed now of this kind of thing.
Yep.
Like you say, kids' movies aren't like Home Alone anymore.
Yeah.
And I really don't think they will be again.
No.
Because like you say, like there are so many things. Like it feels like looking at movies with 2021 eyes, it feels like you have to call everything problematic. You have to call out every problem. And I have a lot of issues with that, not in the sense that I don't think it's right.
Yeah.
It just... I don't want to self-sabotage the things that I love and enjoy. Because a lot of these movies are escapisms and I love them. It's entertainment for me.
Yeah.
So when you call it out, it's like, oh, this movie's problematic or I've got this problems.
Yeah.
I get that. But are you going to let that affect the enjoyment you take out of something? Because it doesn't change who I am as a person. I know that movies are movies. I don't make my life choices based off, what a character in a movie did and stuff. So I understand why people have issues with stuff like this now, but at the same time, I kind of don't see what the big deal is.
Yeah.
I've got to edge my bets. You know what I mean? Like it's like, I get things haven't aged well. I get that. But I think with movies, music, everything, rock stars, everything, you got to view them as a product of their time. What they're doing is not necessarily good now. It may not have been good back then when they did it.
Yep.
But it happened. And if you only want to glorify the things in movies that are totally PC and totally fine, then you're essentially putting rules on creativity. Like, you know what I mean? It's like...
That's it. We'd just be watching people walking around.
Yeah.
And hopefully that wouldn't offend anyone.
We'll be living in Orwell's 1984. It's like we all have to dress the same. We all have to listen to the same stuff. And we'll all just listen to Peter Coombe all the time.
That's it. It would be something like, hey, would you pass the tea? Sure thing. some boring thing like that where like.
But then someone's upset because they only drink coffee and they don't drink tea.
That's it. Yeah,
See,
we can't leave out people that drink water, coffee, beer, wine, you name it. The point is you can always upset someone. The point of movies, music, everything else is a lot of it's made up, and it's make believe. It's not real, so don't read too much into it. That's kind of my thing.
Well, because the way I see it, if we're going to write off every movie, every song, every artist that was ever problematic, that's like rewriting history books. Yeah. That's like only writing about the good things that countries did, none of the bad. It's like, well, aren't we just then like denying what the world really is, which is a mixed bag of everything? But anyway, that's a conversation for another time because, you know. I'll just get on a rant.
We're supposed to be talking about Home Alone. Poor McAllister, like he's getting forgotten about.
I've got to say, like this movie goes for an hour and 43 minutes, but it doesn't feel like it.
No,
this movie flies. Its pacing is perfect, and I love the sequel as much as I do the first one.
I think if you can get into a movie like, I know this is sad, another thing as well. It's not Home Alone 1, but Home Alone 2. Like I've went and like seeked out some of the locations. Like when I went to New York, like I went to the hotel. And I found a diner as well for my brother. So I was pretty happy about that. So I don't know. Things like that I always try and seek out, like as well. Seinfeld, like I went and I found like the Seinfeld like diner. It's actually called it's not called Tom's Diner. I'm just trying to think of what it's called now. But anyway, yeah, it looks nothing like the thing except for the front of it. Like once you go in there, it's just like a bunch of stuck up people like selling overpriced coffee.
Nice. Now the other thing that I have, I've just been sent thanks to Jamie is out there listening. Shout out to Jamie, the most important member of DVG. He has sent through the trailer of the 2016 Uncle Buck, and it does not look good.
Oh wow. I didn't even hear about that either. That's another surprise.
No, it does not look like something I would ever care about.
Dude, like, what is it with people? Like, can they not just leave the classic movies, classic songs alone?
This is nostalgia is now a market.
Yeah.
You could release a fantastic movie that no one ever goes and sees because they've never heard of it, or you can make a mediocre movie but slap the name of something everyone remembers on it. And all of a sudden, we're going to see like the remakes of Total Recall, the remake of RoboCop, all these terrible movies that were remade and sucked.
Yeah.
When it's like, let's create something for our kids to then get nostalgic about and go, oh, let's remake that.
That's it. Like I feel like there needs to be people that have the guts to sort of put their ideas forward and take a chance. Like, there's not enough people out there that are bringing like new ideas to the table. Like, you can't always play it safe.
On last week's show, we were talking about it feels like independent horror movies and independent science fiction movies are the only ones that are stretching their wings because you're not getting the clever horror. You're not getting the clever action, or you're not getting clever anymore. It's just let's remake it or base it off this. Like I was watching on Netflix the other week the Lady in the Window, I think it was called.
Yeah.
And I started watching it not knowing anything about it. I'm like, this is a weird remake of Rear Window. And I'm like, and that was remade when we were in high school. Like, it was Disturbia with the dude from Transformers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just this never-ending cycle when it's like, I think my favorite movie of the last 10 years is a movie called Upgrade. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's a science fiction movie. No. And it was just so fresh. But now you look at the movies now, we're getting... Zack Snyder's doing another zombie film, or you're getting like another Saw movie coming out this week. Yeah. It's like, give us something new.
I cannot wait until the whole Marvel thing goes away. Like, I think it's just being done to death now. I don't think there's another movie that you could possibly make of the Marvel series. I don't know. I stopped basically watching it when they started making what was it? X-Men, that's it.
Yeah.
That's when I turned off. I switched off. Like, I watched the first one or two, and then I was just like, no, I'm out.
Awesome. We're going to jump back into a little bit of music now. This is 100.5.
People think they're seeing ghosts. And they call these bozos who conveniently show up to deal with the problem with a fake electronic light show.
Everything was fine with our system until the power grid was shut off by Dickless here.
They caused an explosion.
Is this true? Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
This is Dave's Video Graveyard.
It was 1996 and the world was obsessed with two cartoon television hosts. They started out with their own music show on MTV where they'd critique the music videos of the artist. It was voiced, directed and created by Mike Judge. He went on to have his own little sitcom essentially with the two characters, and they became so popular that they got their own movie in 1996. We are talking about Beavis and Butthead to America. Ace, why have you chosen this film?
I grew up with Beavis and Butthead, especially watching it on MTV. And then when I heard that it was going to be, they're going to have their own movie, I was so excited. And that's one of the movies that I went to watch at the cinemas. But I just love Beavis and Butthead. Like at school, I could remember these two guys that were totally obsessed with Beavis and Butthead, and they would like imitate the voices. And they were like so bang on with like the voices. It was just crazy, and it just cemented my love for Beavis and Butthead. I just love the fact in the movie that they don't realize that they're like the police looking from they're like fugitives, and like they just
stumble through life.
They just stumble through life, and you know they don't even have to try. They just like get through it so easily, like. And there's just like so many funny things that happen along the way, and it's like. It's almost like as if Mike Judd didn't have to like make an effort to make the movie. It just read itself, and it just like happened effortlessly. It's just an amazing movie, and it's got a killer soundtrack as well. You've got like White Zombie, LL Cool J, Run DMC's in there. It's just a great movie.
Definitely. I've always loved the movie. They're being chased by the FBI agent guy voiced by Robert Stack.
Yep.
And he used to be the host of
Unsolved Mysteries.
Mysteries. And his voice, every time I hear it, I'm traveled back to staying at my nan's. It was always on. There was like Donahue, Ricky Lake. Then there'd be like Unsolved Mysteries. And it would scare the hell out of me. Then there was a year that they replaced it with the Aussie version, The Extraordinary. And it just scared me so much as a kid. And a lot of it's linked to his voice.
That's the same with me. Like it scared the hell out of me. But like it was just one of those like shows that you just had to watch. You don't know why you had to watch it. It's just
my nan
reason.
used to make me watch it while she was waiting for Days of Our Lives to begin. So that was on before it. And it's just so terrifying. I think it's probably, shows a little bit of the adult I became from being scared of that show when I was a kid. But even just hearing his voice in that trailer there, I just transported back to being so scared of that show.
That'd be like one of the people that I would like have to narrate my life. Like, I just love his voice. It's just, I don't know, I find it very soothing.
Definitely. I can definitely see that. Mike Judge, man, he has made some amazing, very cultural significant things. Like we said, Beavis and Butthead were characters that are just basically two stoners, essentially, that did nothing. They're obsessed with women and dirty. They were vulgar. I remember having this on Sega Mega Drive, the video game. And it was so hard because, like, every stage there was always these rats running around and you couldn't jump them or anything. And I just remember being obsessed with that game for so long because it just felt so naughty. Because, we all grew up on The Simpsons, and then this come along, it's like, wow, this is so edgy and rude.
It just smashes The Simpsons out of the water. It just makes to me, it makes The Simpsons look tame, very tame.
And there was a big late 80s, early 90s hair metal band called Winger. And because the nerd in the movie had a Winger shirt, or in the show had a Winger shirt on, Winger still to this day say that had a huge influence on basically the music world turning on them because they became like essentially what Nickelback are now.
They totally hated it. When I read that, I was just like losing my...
Now, the coolest scene in this entire movie to me is when they're in the desert and they trip. And there's just that
the father and the two dads,
there's just that whole sequence where it's all trippy and there's like Rat Fink style animation and stuff. and it's set to Rob Zombie.
Yes.
White Zombie, sorry.
Yeah.
And it's just so amazing. Like, I remember that's what it felt like MTV was back in the day, when it felt like it was a little bit of danger to it. So you know, your cartoon ladies or your cartoon skeletons, anything you'd see on the side of a hot rod, essentially, put to animation. I remember the world being so hyped for this. I remember we just played Love Roller Coaster before. The music video is fully animated, and it got me so psyched for this movie, because obviously the song comes out like 6 months before the movie.
Yeah.
It was on Rage every week, and I used to tape every episode of Rage to watch back, which I only found out recently was illegal. You're not supposed to tape stuff off of television.
Well, you know, it was back in the day. It was just one of those things that you did, wasn't it? Like, you didn't like sort of have people. I mean, like, you kind of, as a kid, you don't really like listen to these things. Like, when you put the movie on and it's got the whole thing about like piracy and stuff, like, you don't really pay attention to it, or like, there's not anyone on the radio going, "Oh, the next song that's coming on is Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince with Boom Shake the Room. Oh, don't tape this, by the way." Like, I was, that's one of the things I did. I sat there with my hand on the pause button, waiting for that song to come on, and then when it came on, like, that's, I guess it's how, like, you know, everybody formed like their first early sort of musical taste, like compilations, making mixtapes and stuff. Like,
I had 2 VCRs.
Yeah.
So I had some amazing like music video compilations.
Yeah.
And that was back when Rage was so all over the shop because of all the guest hosts and everything like that. Like, I remember you'd watch it one week and it would have like, you know, there'd be all these metal songs I'd never heard before, and I'd tape them to the video. Then you'd come the following week and it would have like, you know, like Aphex Twin and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was so trippy with the visuals and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was my only way of getting new music at the time. And I love it and miss that whole aspect of finding new music. Whereas now, I wouldn't be able to tell you half the artists that are on Rage, let alone the little like interludes they play between songs. I'd be like, "Oh, I don't like this." And I'm like, "Oh, well, it's not a song. It's
that's
just
the same as me.
the title card."
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I try and watch Rage now, but I don't know, just the people on there, I just can't relate to the music. I know it's kind of sounding like you know, a cliche thing of when you get older, you don't understand like young people's music these days. But I don't know. It's just, there's nothing that really excites me. Like, I don't think there's too many people that are on Rage that are pushing boundaries, like musically. I mean, like, and that's another thing with my show. Like, what I play on there is like stuff that, you know, should be getting a lot more sort of airplay and a lot more notice. Like, it's people that are actually experimenting and pushing boundaries.
In the last 10 years, the only music video that's come on Rage that's like really blown me away, there was a song by Clowns. And I was like, that was the first time I'd heard them. I was like, this is incredible. And then it went straight back to like whatever plays usually. I was like, oh man, that was a flash in the pan.
It's like getting teased.
Yeah, 100%. I'm like, oh, hit record. Oh, wait, you don't record it anymore.
Yeah.
We got a message saying not to forget that Demi Moore and Bruce Willis is in Beavis and Butthead Do America. I believe they were a couple at the time, or they just divorced. I can't remember.
I reckon they were still together when they did it. I believe. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of think it's one of Bruce Willis's best roles. Besides, actually, I don't think he has had a terrible role. Except for, what's that movie that he got a lot of stick for, and he did like singing.
I hate that movie, Hudson Hawk. I hate that movie. What was I going to say? Mike Judge, Jamie messaged her and said that we had to mention Tales from the Tour Bus that he did, which apparently is amazing. He also did Idiocracy, the movie. Which I love that. Yeah, I love that movie. But the other movie he did, believe it or not, is another movie that you have chosen on your list this evening. So let's hear the trailer.
He rode a blazing saddle.
We've got to protect our phony baloney job, gentlemen. We must do something about this immediately. Immediately. Harumph, 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 harumph. I didn't get a harumph out of that guy.
Give the governor harumph. Harumph.
You watch your ass.
All the movies, none of the knowledge. This is Dave's Video Graveyard on 100.5 WOW FM.
What a movie. 1999, the golden year of film. I've got another message through telling us that we should never talk crap about Hudson Hawk. So no apologies at all. You can send all your complaints over Ace's way because he said it, not me. We are talking about Office Space from 1999, written and directed by Mike Judge, the man behind Beavis and Butthead. And I forgot to say, I remember being so excited watching the movie Airheads.
Yes.
And there's the scene where Beavis and Butthead ring them up when they're on the radio. And I used to get so excited at that point because it was just so different. Office Space is a timeless classic. Anyone that's ever worked a job they didn't like can relate to this movie. It is almost a perfect film. It's kind of thing where I remember the first time I saw it, I was a bit iffy about it. I was like, I don't know if I loved that or not. And then it's been on TV so many times. I reckon I taped it off pay TV back in the day. I've seen this movie so many times that I just love and appreciate it for what it is.
Yep.
Why did you choose it?
Oh, it's just another one of those movies again that I really relate to. Like, I've had jobs in the past that I really haven't enjoyed. And this movie for me was a real comfort, actually. Like, if I had a bad day at work, I'd come home and I'd put this movie on straight away, and like it just like make me feel so relaxed, and I'd just be laughing and going, "Yep, that's the way I feel." You know, it's another one of those films where, like Home Alone, where like there's things in it that you wish you could do, that you want to do.
Yeah.
But you know, you don't have the balls to do them.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, except for you know, like for instance, burning down your workplace. Like, how many people have thought about doing that?
I think of this movie every time I go somewhere. And the people working there have got all like enamel pins on their apron and stuff. I just think of the flare scene in this movie because it is so relatable in so many ways. Like we said, it's about essentially a slacker that doesn't like his job, doesn't like his boss, and he's getting hypnotized to be more laid back and relaxed and not let things get to him. And while he's under, the hypnotist actually suffers a fatal heart attack. Before he brings him out of the thing. So he wakes up totally not caring about work. So he starts sleeping in, not trying, and he just starts going up and up and up in his workplace. And it's just such a funny idea because you look at movies where, like, you know, I'd love to go to Jurassic Park and see dinosaurs. I'd love to think, but this is a whole different level of wish fulfillment where it's like, I'd love to not try at my job.
I don't know. I think like the thing that this movie like teaches me is, and it's true. It's like so many people in jobs, like it seems like the people that don't really try hard get somewhere. And then the people that are going, I got to do this, I got to do this and this and this and this, and they're really trying, and they don't get the promotions. And
I've worked in places where I've done extra. And all that's done is that extras become part of my job description. And it picks up the slack for someone else coming in and like not doing anything.
That's it.
And you're just like, what am I doing?
It's pretty much like, oh, you want a promotion? Here's your promotion. Some more work.
And we've got to send a shout out to Philip. Philip Daff has said, just tuned in. Keep up the good work. Cheers. So shout out to Philip. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for listening tonight. Appreciate it.
So Office Space, how often do you revisit this one?
I'd say I watch this movie probably at least 3 times a year, maybe 4. Depending on, I mean, I don't really have anything to stress me out about my job now. Like, I love my job that I'm in. So, I mean, I watched it yesterday just to brush up on things. But, like, it was a hard one because there was all my movies on the list to watch plus whatever I sort of found over the last couple of days when I was making my list. And, yeah, this one won. I
was recently working on a work site, and it was like a subdivided house. So it was like 2 houses made, or one house made into 2. And while we were there working, the guy next door answered a phone call and started walking around his unit talking. And it was so loud, and you could hear every single word. And I couldn't stop thinking of the neighbour in Office Space. Because it's
Lawrence.
Just, Lawrence, where they're like, all right, we're going to do this plan. We're going to rip off the company. We're going to round off the money that they don't use. I won't tell anyone. I won't tell anyone. Then you hear from next door, I'm not going to tell anyone, Peter.
I just love that guy. That guy cracks me up, man. Just his haircut and everything, and just...
He is amazing. He is amazing in Jay and Bob Strike Back because he's the head security guard. And he's also in Napoleon Dynamite. He's the karate instructor, man. He is hilarious. If you haven't, check out Office Space. It is
highly
an
recommended.
Classic.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, let's jump into a little bit more music here on 100.5 WOWFM.
See, in this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns and those who dig. You dig.
All the movies, none of the knowledge. This is Dave's Video Graveyard on 100.5 WOWFM.
Back before Roger Moore was Old Man James Bond, he was almost Old Man James Bond. 1973. We're talking about Live and Let Die. Why did you choose this movie, Ace?
I choose it mainly, I love the soundtrack for this movie. I love James Bond in general, but Live and Let Die, one of my favourite Paul McCartney and Wings songs. You can't go wrong with this one. Any James Bond movies, to be honest. A lot of action in them. A lot of pretty women.
Oh, this is the heroin one, isn't it? With Baron Samedi, I believe, and a lot of speedboat chases in this one.
And the speedboat chase, just when it's flying through the air, and then it crashes down.
It always made me think of Police Academy 3 because that movie ends with...
I feel like they ripped that off.
Yeah, I was going to say it's so similar to the speedboat chase highlight. Just having a look. Yeah, Baron Samedi is in this movie. Clifton James as Sheriff Pepper is a little bit of it's back because quite often James Bond would get a little bit of comic relief from one of the side characters. So the sheriff is definitely it in this.
Yes. That's one of my favorite parts as well. The sheriff, I love that guy. Just his voice just cracks me up.
And Jane Seymour, the medicine woman herself,
yes,
as a Bond girl. So it kind of shows how old this movie is.
Yes.
Sorry, I was going to say, what's James Bond to you? You love all of them, check them all out, or were there some you love? Or
I try and steer away from my two favourites would be Roger Moore and Sean Connery.
Yep.
I do like Daniel Craig. I'm just trying to think. I don't really tend to...
Because, I grew up watching Octopussy with my pop, and, that was... The Roger Moore era was my pop's era. I obviously was the GoldenEye fan, so, all that. I only recently found out that the first Daniel Craig Bond, Casino Royale, not only is it a remake, it's of a Peter Sellers film, it's also directed by the director of GoldenEye.
Yeah.
I'm I have to really revisit that movie.
Yeah.
Timothy Dalton, who was between Roger Moore and what's his name? Pierce Brosnan.
Yes.
He plays a way better bad guy than he ever does a good guy. So movies like Hot Fuzz, The Rocketeer, I particularly remember him from when I was a kid. And so I could never get behind him as being a likable James Bond because there was always something sinister to me about him.
I could never get behind Pierce Brosnan.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of people have said that.
I don't know, when I watch those movies, I don't know, they just seem really cheesy. And I know I should really give the Timothy Dalton ones a go. I mean, I don't watch them as often as I would.
But you're talking about Roger Moore, who there was one where a plane turned into a horse in the back of a trailer.
Yeah.
He's dressed like a clown in the start of Octopussy 2. How did you deal with that? You wouldn't have been a fan, surely.
Nah. You know what? It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too scary.
What are your other favourite, other than Live and Let Die? What are your other favourites? Because they all kind of, because I don't revisit them a lot, and I've seen most of them as a kid and stuff. They all kind of run together, but I remember stunts and stuff because they always had to have a bigger stunt than the last movie, and I always was in love with the barrel roll jump that James Bond did in his car. There was another car that Roger Moore had that could drive underwater.
Yeah, that was the Lotus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a fan. And I always found it funny, in this movie, it shows... No, it's one of the Sean Connery movies where, I reckon, is it Raquel Welch? she comes up out of the water and she's all sexy and like
Yep.
super buff. And I found it so funny in the first Daniel Craig one. They did that scene again, but with James Bond being the sexy one, not the girl. And I was like, that's pretty funny.
I think the classic one is when he drops the fish out the car.
Out the window, rolls the window up. This movie, I think, made every kid made their toy cars shoot missiles out of the headlights.
Yes. I don't know. I think if you can't get excited about the cars that they featured, like you'd always be excited to see what was going to feature in the next Bond, or like the next Bond girl, who's going to be the next Bond girl. That's was always something to look forward to.
Yep.
I mean, like a lot of these early movies came out like before we were born.
Yeah.
But like when you kind of like get into them and you kind of get the whole thing. Like I don't think they can put a foot wrong with like the James Bond franchise.
But it is funny because you look like 1973. Roger Moore was looking great, really fit, really cut an imposing figure as Bond. And then like a few movies later, like A View to a Kill, he's running up the Eiffel Tower and he's a very old man, a clearly old, out of shape man. And it's quite funny. But yeah, check it out. Live and Let Die. Let's look at your next movie. We're running out of time. This is Dave's Video Graveyard.
Where do you live?
In the city.
Do you have a house?
Apartment.
Own or rent?
Rent.
What do you do for a living?
Lots of things.
Where's your office?
I don't have one.
How come?
I don't need one.
Where's your wife?
Don't have one.
How come?
It's a long story.
Do you have kids?
No, I don't.
How come?
It's an even longer story.
Are you my dad's brother?
What's your record for consecutive questions asked?
38.
I'm your dad's brother, all right.
You have much more hair on your nose than my dad.
How nice of you to notice.
I'm a kid. That's my job.
All the movies, none of the knowledge. This is Dave's Video Graveyard on 100.5 WOW FM.
95 for my money.
Director Harold Ramis famously fell out with the head star of this movie, Bill Murray. Also stars Andy McDowell, Chris Elliott. Why did you choose this perfect movie from 1993, Groundhog Day?
Okay, so the story that is behind this movie actually is pretty crazy. Like, this was a movie that my brother and my sister and my mum like bonded over watching, and I could not stand this movie.
Wow.
And I'll tell you the reason why I could not stand it. Like, there was nothing wrong with the rest of the movie. It was the particular song that was in it, like when the alarm clock goes off. And
I Got You, Babe, by Sonny and Cher.
And I absolutely loathe that song with a passion. So that's what stopped me from watching that movie and enjoying it up until when I met my lovely partner, Nicole. And we started watching movies together. That was one of the things that we bonded over. Like, she loves Bill Murray. That's her favorite actor of all time. And yeah, we watched Groundhog Day, and I just fell in love with it. And just Bill Murray is just brilliant. That movie just showcases how he's such a brilliant actor. And
I cop a lot of crap, but I call Groundhog Day the perfect movie.
Yes,
because you can watch it 100 times.
Yep.
And still take something away on the 100th time. My standout favourite thing of all time is just the idea of he runs into Ned Ryerson, who he went to school with.
Yep.
First, he doesn't remember him. He hates him. Things progress. So on a good day, he'll buy life insurance off him and policies and stuff. But I love on a bad day, he just runs up and coward punches him. And I've always loved that scene so much.
I just love the fact that, like, throughout, like, that whole thing of, like, him reliving the same day, he's able to prepare himself for the next time that he has an interaction with, like, Bill and stuff. Like, it just cracks you up. It really does.
Jamie has chimed in, and he said that Groundhog Day, Andy McDowell was also in Hudson Hawk. So there's another tick, Hudson Hawk. And he said that I Got You, Babe was actually covered by Beavis and Butthead, which I did not know.
Yes, I knew that.
So it all ties together.
Yeah.
How often do you revisit this one with your partner?
Ooh, I would say we probably watch this at least every year, like once or twice. Like, I mean, both of us now, like, we get so tired and we kind of, like, we'll put a movie on, but we'll fall asleep.
That's fine.
Like, yeah, it definitely is, like, one of the movies that we love, like, enjoy watching together.
Awesome. Well, because we're running out of time, let's jump on to your next movie. Here's DVG.
This is Dave's Video Graveyard.
What a powerful speech. And that, of course, is taken from Austin Powers' The Spy That Shagged Me. No, we are talking about 1994's Pulp Fiction, the second feature film from Quentin Tarantino. And wow, this is the first movie I ever saw that's non-sequential and all out of order. Didn't like it the first time. I've grown to love this movie. And I think I've seen this more than a lot of movies of the 90s. Why did you pick this film?
I think it was one of those movies that, like, the first couple of times I saw it, I didn't really understand it. I'm like, what is the plot of this movie? But then I kept watching it and watching it. And I think it's because I've watched it so many times that, like, I've really begun to, like, see the genius of Quentin.
Yep.
And it's just got such a great cast. And, like, I love Samuel L. Jackson. John Travolta, like, his role in it is brilliant. Yeah, just, like, every scene in it is just like, it just keeps you wide awake. From, like, the scene in the coffee shop where, like, the two like lovebirds are, like, trying to rob the place, and they're just sitting calmly at the table, like, you know, trying to plot what they're gonna do to yeah, it's just it's a great movie, man. Like, it's one of those movies where, like, for me, like, I want to go and, like, visit the places. Like, there's a couple of places in Japan that relate to this actual... No, hang on, I'm screwing up. That's Kill Bill, sorry.
It is totally fine. This movie is... I never... Because at the time, I was a huge John Travolta fan. Like, an absolute massive fan. Not so much at the time, because I was only a kid. Wasn't that big of a Bruce Willis fan, because, you know, he was for adults. Travolta did Grease and a heap, Look Who's Talking and stuff. So I love John Travolta. So I went to this movie and saw it as a fan of John Travolta. And spoiler alert, his character dies about halfway through the movie. And it upset me. I was like, no, I wanted him to beat Bruce Willis. But then you grow up and you get a love of Bruce Willis films and suddenly go, oh, hang on, he's the hero of this story. And I totally get it. And because it's non-sequential, you get the two heroes, essentially Jules and Vinny, walking out of the film at the end, and you realize that that's only halfway through the story. I just think it's a masterclass in filmmaking, really. And I think he's gone close to, but I don't think he's made anything as good. Like you said, the Kill Bill movies are perfect. But this didn't. Now, we've received an email. Shout out to Brett from Sticks, Strings and Stories, the Kite Show here on WOWFM. We got an email from Texas saying, regarding Beavis and Butthead, the word schlong. The original term referred to a particularly long, snake-like piece of oil field equipment used to retrieve underground drill bits. You cannot find that definition anywhere, but he grew up in West Texas oil fields, and he said, cool show, guys. And he wanted us to say balls. So shout out to Gary in Texas.
Yes, shout
out. Lover of Beavis and Butthead. So you're bringing the world together, see, with your love for them.
That's it. It's you. You're reaching the masses overseas.
It's all thanks to WOWFM and maybe Brett. Maybe he might owe Brett money.
You know what it is? It's the power of independent radio. That's what it is.
100%. Well, let's go from one crime film to another from the year 2000. This is WOWFM.
What is it?
It's a gun rack.
A gun rack? A gun rack. Yeah, right. I don't even own a gun, let alone many guns that would necessitate an entire rack. What am I gonna do with a gun rack?
Talking movies on the radio. This is Dave's Video Graveyard on 100.
Richie's second big, crime thriller. It is an ensemble cast. He obviously became on everyone's radar from Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, another fantastic movie he released. Then he kind of married Madonna and all his movies started to suck.
Yeah, that's it.
However, this is a fantastically gritty movie. Very Tarantino-esque. I'll always say that about Guy Ritchie. It's got its very UK-centric ideas and cast and characters, but it also leans very heavily onto the crime caper type movies.
Yes.
Lots of double-crossing, a lot of stories. And I just love the way that they present this movie. Why did you choose it?
I'm a sucker for English gangster movies, and any English shows in general. Like I grew up with, as we were talking before about The Bill, EastEnders. There's a couple of characters in there actually. One of the guys in there, he plays a character in Eastenders called Frank. So he's in the movie. So that was a big plus. It's got Brad Pitt in it. I think it's Dennis Farina. That was one of my mum's like favorite actors growing up. I just love the story. Like, you know, everyone's against all the, you know, characters running around like the different like gangs, like trying to sort of get this like diamond. I think it is in the dog. And
you know, Reservoir Dogs. You know, Tarantino made that, and it's like the world of crime thrillers caught on fire because you got like this, you got Lock, Stock, you got even the lesser like Rock and Roller. There was a few with Jason Statham that were like UK ones. There was one that had Andre 3000 from Outcast in it with Jason Statham. But you got like Lucky Number 11, Smoking Aces, all these ensemble movies all surrounding like crime capers where there was lots of double crossing. It borrowed heavily as well from a lot of the ocean films, I feel, where it was like you hear what the plan's going to be and then something goes wrong, but then you find out that a character knew that was going to happen. So a lot of double crossing. Have you seen The Gentleman that come out 2020?
No, I haven't. No.
I recommend that because I would say it's the perfect 3 movies from Guy Ritchie, being Snatch, Lock, Stock, and The Gentleman, starring Matthew McConaughey.
Yep.
It is so good.
I'll have to check it out. And another thing about this as well, it's got like such great humor that's inserted into it. It's got great lines. Another plus as well, if you're a fan of football, Vinnie Jones, like he's in the Snatch and Lock, Stock. I just love that guy.
Euro Trip.
Yep. I grew up on that guy, watching like him play like football for Coventry. I think that was one of the teams he played for, and he
was just so tough.
And I just love like Brad Pitt's character, the gypsy, like, you know, no one can like understand the pikey that no one can understand what they're talking about half the time. He just keeps banging them back caravans.
Do you like dogs?
Yeah.
What? Do I like dogs? Yeah, and this movie is so good. I haven't revisited this one for a while,
and I think it's Jason Statham's like best movie as well.
Yeah, it's definitely up.
I think once he started getting too big, that's kind of like he lost his appeal for me. I think his last other movie that he did was Bank Job that I enjoyed.
I like The Meg because I like terrible movies. And Hobbs and Shaw was like Tango and Cash, so I love that as well. Anyway, we got to keep moving, but sorry to cut you short. Yeah, Snatch from 2000, definitely worth checking out, from the director of the remake of Aladdin. Let's get on to the next one. This is 100.5 WOWFM.
What were they, psychos? Or?
They look like psychos? Is that what they look like? They were vampires. Psychos do not explode when sunlight hits them. I don't give up how crazy they are.
Talking movies on the radio. This is Dave's Video Graveyard on 100.5 WOWFM.
Only after dark.
I often wonder when this movie comes up. We were talking about The Castle from 1997. I often wonder, I'd love to know what other countries think of this movie, because it is the most Australiana film you will ever see.
Well,
and I don't see it landing the way it does here. Like, you know, it's such a big reflection of all our childhoods and stuff, like particularly the family watching Hey Hey It's Saturday on a Saturday night. That was my family.
Well, I don't know if this is true, but like I've heard that when it was released in America, that apparently they had to change some of the like things, not like the names of the cars and other things, because Americans just can't understand like what we're going on about.
Why's that car got a different name?
Yeah.
Shout out to our listener in Texas, by the way.
You're cool though.
Yeah. We just checked you out on YouTube while we're playing that. We checked out your band playing The House of Rock, Corpus Christi playing Comfortably Numb. There's a whole heap of stuff up on YouTube, so if you're listening, make sure you check that out. Now, before we talk a little bit more about The Castle, you're in trouble.
Yes.
We've had a message on the social media saying that, just a correction.
Yep.
Apparently, you and your lovely partner, shout out to, is it Nikki Necker?
Nikki Necker, yeah.
Shout out to her. She has let us know that it's not her that falls asleep watching movies. That is a lie. She said only one person falls asleep watching movies, and it's you.
Yeah, guilty as charged.
You're one of those people. I'm the worst because like me and my wife will start watching something.
Yeah.
And she'll be like, I'm going to go to bed. I'm like, but it's only 11 p.m.
Yeah.
And I'm like, got to work at 6 the next
Yeah.
day. But I'll sit up and watch an entire movie. She'll
Yeah.
fall asleep 10 minutes in.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah,
so,
I am guilty as charged.
make it
is
right
me.
now. Send out a shout out and an apology.
I like to apologise for that remark about me and you falling asleep.
Why are you shaking your head and doing a thumbs down thing and you're blowing raspberries off mine? Like, that's not very sincere. Anyway, I'm not trying to cause any trouble.
No.
Oh, that's a swear word. Don't say that about it. That's very rude. Shout out. Anyway, The Castle, what a movie from director Rob Stitch behind the... Do you remember the Degeneration and the Late Late Show on ABC?
I remember
Or Barjas?
I remember the Late Show, yeah.
Yeah, these are the crew that wrote and made this movie.
Nice.
It just a little indie film, and this,
Yeah.
much like you're saying with independent radio, such a big stir for such a little, creation.
Yes.
It went on to be one of the biggest. This went from being an unknown indie to mentioned in the same vein as Crocodile Dundee,
Yeah.
Mad Max, the movies that made Australian cinema.
Yeah.
The Castle is so far up there.
Look, I feel that it was probably one of the last movies. Australia had such a huge investment. Like the government used to invest in movies for Australia, and it's dropped off, and they've taken the funding away from movies. And I feel like it's really sad because we had so many good movies that came out of this, and it's just all fizzled out. I think this is really encapsulates Australia. It's got our humor, it's got the way we live our lives. It's got the iconic sort of Aussie slang, which is another thing that is disappearing, which is a sad thing, and it's got the classic story as well of the little battler trying to take on the higher up government.
It's the vibe.
Yes,
it really is. But it really sums up the spirit of Australians.
Yes,
very laid back. But when you got to get up and fight for something, we will.
That's it. And everybody's house is their castle. It's true. You're really proud when you do something around your place.
Yep.
Even when even if you were renting, you have some pride in.
Even if you're falling asleep watching a movie.
That's it,
it's all things to be proud of.
That's it.
Well, before we run out of time, let's get to your last movie. I'm sorry to rush through. Let's talk about this movie.
But I think that the music was a little loud.
Are you afraid of it?
No. I just don't like techno.
You would if you had robot ears.
All the movies, none of the knowledge. This is Dave's Video Graveyard on 100.5 WOWFM.
I hate your face.
Did you say something?
1971, the world got introduced to the movie version of Roald Dahl's absolute classic, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, starring Gene Wilder in perhaps his greatest role of all time. Why did you choose this movie?
This is a movie that I watch religiously whenever it's on TV.
And by religiously, you mean you watch it while dressed as a nun, yeah?
Yeah. Dressed as a nun.
That's what I was picturing.
No. For me, I love the story. It's, about a young boy who, is down in his luck. He's, not exactly wealthy, or his family, and it's everybody's dream that they want to visit a chocolate factory, and they think it's never going to happen, and it happens to Charlie, and it's just such a beautiful story. And then in the end of it, I won't ruin it. I'm not going to tell you what happens in it, but
don't ruin a movie from 1971.
You just got to watch it. It's just a brilliant story. I think it is Gene Wilder's I wouldn't say it's his greatest.
I like
role.
Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, but some people say the producers. I think it is. That is his greatest role. But
Spaceballs.
Yes. What's that one? See No Evil, Hear No Evil. Is it?
I love that movie. But you know who the bad guy in that is? Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
So that movie's problematic now. You cannot win, man. You cannot escape it.
That's it.
Yeah, man. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I love this movie so much that I like the remake. Like, you know what I mean? My love for this is so strong that it's close enough with the remake that I love it as well. Believe it or not, we are all out of time, dude. I know. It's your fault, not mine.
I know, because we got too political.
If we didn't have to play so many songs where you told me how, like, your partner falls asleep.
Requests.
Like, every time we went to a song, you just talked about your partner, and none of it was good.
I love her dearly.
I think she's lovely. So shout out from DVG.
And she doesn't fall asleep. It's me. It's me every time.
Stop doing thumbs down and shaking your head. It's an audio format. Now, remind everyone where they can check out you on the radio.
Okay, so Saturday nights, 10:30 p.m. on Up, Down, Under on Radio Adelaide, 101.5 FM. I'm not on every week, but just tune in. Every other week I'll be on. There's lots of other great hosts as well that are on doing their thing. It's always a different show because, people got different musical tastes, but
Adrian, thank you so much for checking us out. Don't forget, go searching and find Adrian, Radio Adrian on Instagram. You can check out his SoundCloud and everything else you got going on.
I have a Mixcloud. That's where I put most of my stuff,
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Sorry we ran out of time. This is 100.5 WOW FM.